We recommend interactive metronome, a timing therapy to so many families. At our center, we have 3 IM stations that are busy every day. There's always somebody doing IM at any given moment in time. It's an integral part of our program as we have developed our own protocol for autism, our own protocol for reading and writing disorders, for ADHD and executive functioning, for dyspraxia, and also trauma-related categories. IM is an integral part of all of those protocols. Why? Because timing is an integral part of the brain, not only for motor coordination like you see in sport, or when you see the clumsy child syndrome and you can overtly see the dyspraxia. It's also for that minute millisecond to microsecond timing in the brain where you are looking and listening at the same time, where you are speaking and doing at the same time, where you are not only doing a jumping jack, but you're able to go into the PE class and do the jumping jack at the same timing as a peer. There is a legion of reasons why timing is an integral part of therapy, of intervention to support occupational function. It is a necessary piece for us in our programming, but not only because we suddenly thought of timing one day. IM has a huge body of research with empirical data. And this is why rehab hospitals and multiple centers across the US use the timing program. It is evidence-based. And there's multiple factors that it's evidence-based for. It started all with Jim Casserly many years ago, in the 90s, in fact, where he was looking at using the metronome beat for music. And that's where it started. Now, he passed away in 2005, but before he passed away, he saw a whole complement of different applications for his program. Timing and rhythmicity is involved in everything. It's involved in nature, the rhythm of nature, the morning, noon, and night, the sun up, sun down, the rhythm of everything is involved in the environment, and it's us relating to the environment. It is that child in your care that needs to relate and be in sync with the other kids in the classroom. It is about us knowing that, okay, now I have to wait my time for somebody else to finish speaking so that I can say what my thoughts are. It is about impulsivity and not being able to wait because I can't understand the passage of time. Rhythm is something we innately are born with. Babies rock themselves to sleep in their cribs all the time. Rhythm is with us. Rhythm comes with the reciprocity of the cooing of the parent-child dyad. It's integral and a part of us. And rhythm basically is also much more left-eared, speaking to the right brain mostly. We know it's not completely pristine, but mostly because of that emotional connection that also comes with rhythm, and rhythm also supporting regulation. Rhythm and timing is not equal. Timing is actually much more right brain and right-eared in function to connect more to the left brain, very involved in things like decoding and language and speech and those executive pieces. So timing only evolves later in our early development. Rhythm is there first. But it's between timing and rhythm that we can create tempo in our brain. I want us to think about, what is it going to take to make me in sync with you and you in sync with your client? What role does reciprocity in a rhythmical way play in your contingent attunement to the client that you are working with at this time? Or if you're a parent, the attunement to your child. It's a foundational piece. And when you look at it neuroanatomically, you're looking at, how does the sequencing correspond with timing in the brain. So many OTs focus quite rightly on the sequencing of an obstacle course or sequencing of a specific activity, step 1, 2, and 3. In fact, we are trained to analyze activity, and one of the areas are certainly the sequential steps that the activity has to go through. But the sequential steps, as important as it is, also has to be completed in the same timing as a peer. Therefore, adding timing to your sequence becomes a very integral place. So you use it for many different reasons, including also language and language processing. How does it work? There's a hand trigger, a foot trigger on the floor, headphones. There's a beat coming through the ears going boom, 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 boom. And on that very staccato beated, tempoed beat, for the, I think that's a correct way to say it. On that beat, you're clapping a trigger in your hand or you're tapping a trigger on with your foot. And you're doing so with countless repetitions. Going up from 100 repetitions at a time to 2,000 repetitions at a time. And all the while, there are guide sounds in each ear, left and right, telling you, are you a little bit late or just a little bit early, a little bit more late than you need to be, or very, very early? It's giving you the guiding all the time, and you keep focusing to stay as close as possible to that original beat, that what they call the cowbell sound. There's no way you cannot focus. You must focus. Such an attention builder. It's a very unique system, especially as a sensory integration person. We know that praxis needs to be generalized into our brain as a automatic place of being. And how it happens is by a feedback feed-forward system. That if I can get the feedback of how my body is operating, then next time the feed forward will make it easier for me to do it again. Well, IM works completely on that feedback feed forward system. You're anticipating that next beat. It's actually more about the anticipation. And then you're synchronously over time becoming much more in sync with that beat. So we see kids doing 2,000 repetitions that you never would have thought could be possible. And they're talking to you about the movie they saw on Saturday while they're staying on the beat. It is beautiful. Very unique system. There's cognitive pieces to it. There is this whole ability to pay attention. There's executive functioning. There's that filtering out the distractions, focusing on what I need to do. It is about detecting interference from the background. The outside distractions are becoming less as you become more centralized focused. There are a myriad of cognitive processes that's involved in the program. There are many brain regions involved that's been proven by research, from the primary motor cortex to the bilateral primary sensory motor area, to the supplemental motor area, cerebellum, putamen, speech areas, the thalamus, especially on the left, and then also the left parietal lobe, which we know as OTs is our sensory motor lobe. It is incredible how many regions need to flow into each other. You know, years ago, Margaret Bowman did some really important research when she did autopsies on brains of children who were autistic. And what she found was that of all those hyperactive kids when they were still with us, it wasn't the vestibular system that was underactivated in the brain. It was the connection between the vestibular and the proprioceptive system that was impaired, that wasn't happening in that synchronicity and timing. It changed the game for us in sensory integration completely. Now we had a place of saying, let's swing and then crash. But we have to bring them together. They got to operate together, vestibular, proprioceptive. We always knew that, but we didn't know that piece that she was able to give us. The parietal lobe is incredibly linked to the whole idea of sequencing, timing, planning, feedback, feed forward. There are many, many clinical disorders that you can find in the DSM that is associated with poor brain clock timing. It's not really for me I don't really love talking about diagnoses, but the DSM, that's what everybody goes by: ADHD, dyslexia. There's also aging or maturing, motor coordination, sensory processing disorder, Parkinson's disease, speech and language, traumatic brain injury, autism. Does this mean that IM cures and works with everything and it's just a blanket program? No. As I said to you before in other sessions, a tool is only as good as the one who knows how to use it. So there's specific places in our program where we will start using IM, where we will stop using it and come back to it again. It's about knowing what your program is capable of doing. It's not about the diagnosis, it's about the profile. So what is rhythm and timing really going to give us in terms of proficiency? It's critical for communication. I'm pacing myself as I'm speaking to my own screen over here. I can't see you. I don't know what you're thinking while I'm talking, but I'm pacing myself to make sure that I'm able to bring across the message as eloquently as I possibly can. I have to use rhythm and timing to stay attentive, to make eye contact and then look away and then come back to you again for two-way purposeful interaction, to imitate others in a timely manner, to have ideas and do those ideas at the same time, speak those ideas at the same time, to use play sequences in a timely manner, responding to others that you're not having too much of a time delay. Articulation of your speech has to do with timing. Syntax in the certain sequence that you form your sentences has a certain amount of timing that you coordinate with your diaphragm as you're breathing out the words. You have auditory processing that's integrally linked to timing by oodles of other research out there, including the research of Nina Kraus. Problem solving is involved in timing. Fine motor skill and handwriting is involved in timing. I don't think I need to say more. There's so many good reasons why we don't ignore the big process of timing. Now, the IM program itself has got a frequency that is recommended by the research. So ideally, it's 3 times a week. Our clients are doing 3 times, 4 times, 5 times a week. It just depends on the client and the family situation. If they're coming in from very far from abroad, we definitely are doing 5 days a week programming. But if they are local, they may do 3 times a week of programming. 30 minutes is many research protocols was based on 30 minutes. We do 30-minute sessions, we do 45-minute sessions, we do hour-long sessions. It depends on the client. And you can do a hybrid program, or you can do a whole IM program at home. You can do the whole program in the center. For many profiles, we prefer if they work with us in the center. We can put them through their paces. It's not always easy for parents to take children who may be a little bit oppositional through the program because it's very rigorous. But there are many clients who are doing it at home with home-based centers that's connected to an e-clinic. It's very beautifully set up in a way that communication is always possible, no matter if I'm working with somebody in California or working with somebody local. So you can do a hybrid too, here and at home, or in the center and at home. So it is a trademarked place, and the more information you can read about it is in interactivemetronome.com. There's also oodles of research on that website, and can give you the information on all of these different categories that I spoke about. And also, I'm doing my next IM certification course in South Africa time zone to Johannesburg on April the 12th, 2024. So I hope to see some of you there. Otherwise, you know where to find me if you have a question. Thank you for listening.